Hey y'all, welcome back to Babeinlibrary. It's your girl Lisa, and today we're going to talk about my Noir November TBR. So if you're wondering what Noir November is, it is my challenge with myself to make sure that I am reading more Black books written by Black authors with Black characters before the end of the year. And so last year I decided to start on this journey, and this year I have expanded it to include all genres. So whether that be you read historical fiction, you read nonfiction, you read romance, fantasy, thrillers, horror, whatever your particular genre is, whatever your particular cup of tea is, I just want you to make it Black. So for those of you that are participating in the 23 for 23 challenge, make sure that you also include these books or these prompts for that particular challenge, because again, the goal is to read more diversely. And so with that, I am going to make sure that I cover at least 2 books that I plan on picking up or looking into for the month of November. So in November, it also is nonfiction November. So I want to make sure that I'm starting off with that. First book that I'm planning on reading is Bet on Black by Ebony K. Williams. This is the good news about being Black in America today. Ebony K. Williams has a good background and a good footing in terms of entertainment. She was the first Black person on, or Black female, for the Real Housewives of New York franchise. And she talks a lot about understanding how to make sure that she is putting her best foot forward. And even though she has to work twice as hard to be able to be seen and benefited from, she is coming for everything that she is worth and everything that they've got. So I want to read Bet on Black. I made sure that there is an audiobook that my library has, and I will be reading this in tandem, just because I typically find that I love to read memoirs and listen to the author write and explain it from their words and their point of view. So Bet on Black is definitely one that I'm going to read for nonfiction November, as well as my nonfiction Noir November prompts. I also want to stay within the realm of the entertainment center, and so what I'm going to be doing is reading Cicely Tyson's Just As I Am. Now, Cicely Tyson has led an extraordinary life. May she rest in peace. She is a visionary when it comes to the roles that she decided to partake in, whether that be in film or TV. So I just want to be able to see Cicely Tyson talk about her particular journey and her lifestyle through her lens. And so I will also be reading that in tandem with the audiobook that accompanies it. Now, outside of that, you know that typically romance is my preferred genre. So I've got 2 for that. Being that I wanted to read more sapphic romances, I am considering picking up Chris and Devon, Plan a Wedding. This is a sapphic romance that centers a reality television show where Devon and Chris decide to embark on this fake engagement that turns into real feelings to get their parents off of their back. I have heard nothing but amazing things about this, and I wanted to pick this up for myself. I do love a good fake dating or fake engagement type of situation, as well as reality TV show, so I'm expecting nothing but good things from Shanika and this particular book. Now, one author I know is never going to let me down is my queen, A.E. Valdez, so I need to continue on with Colliding Fate. Because this one is a chunker, I definitely will get to it as I'm on vacation. This is a friends with benefits type of situation with Kyrell and Quinn, who really decide to embark on, let's just go ahead and service each other and maintenance each other, keep it cute, keep it casual, until they decide, oh shit, I am catching feelings for this person, and we've got mutual friends in common. How do we navigate these waters, and making sure that we do it with kindness and grace and understanding? And I know this is a lot of people's favorite, and I'm hoping that it will be mine as well. I absolutely love Kyrell, and I've got a little bit of Quinn, but I hope to get so much more from her in this book. So I am definitely going to continue on with my A.E. Valdez reading, because Colliding with Faith has been looking at me from my bookshelf for months on end. Now, this month, in the month of October, I have been participating in Novellathon, and I want to keep that train going. So I've got 2 novellas that are related to Black romance. The first being The Gift by Rosie Adam. This one I know is going to break me and I'm going to be sobbing quite a bit of tears, but I have to read it just because that is what I am seeking. This is a story of a woman who decides to carry a baby for her best friend as a surrogate because her best friend is unable to have children or unable to carry full term. And with that being said, she carries this baby and makes sure that she is giving life and nourishment to help provide a healthy child for her best friend. Now, while this is going on, her best friend is actually killed in, I believe, what is a car accident. And from there, she is left with having to grieve her best friend as well as making sure she is bringing this child to life, caring for it, and deciding whether or not she is going to keep the baby or give it to the father for them to raise. And this is the last piece that both of them have of the woman that died. And from there, they are grieving together and they determine that it's best to raise the child together. And from there, they get closer in terms of feelings start to progress between the husband and the best friend who is the surrogate. And I know this is going to ultimately break me, but to be able to see them come out on the other side is going to be, what soothes my soul. So the next novella is one that I've had on my TBR shelf for forever. And I give you all permission, if I do not read it in the month of November, to blast me in the comments down below or in my DMs, but that's going to be Open Water by Kayla Azuma Nelson. This book I have no doubt I am going to absolutely love. I have been putting it off, but the time is now for me to read this. I know that this centers two characters who have found each other in the club one night, but the time was never right, and each one of them have had relationships with other people, and them just saying that there is a connection and ultimately giving into that connection. So this is definitely one that I have to read in November. This is probably going to be the first thing I read just to make sure that I'm crossing that off my bucket list. Now, I also have a problem for historical. I am going to choose to make sure that I read Indigo by Queen Beverly Jenkins. Now, this needs to be read because in April, I'm going to ApollyCon where Beverly Jenkins will be. And I absolutely have no excuse because I need to make sure that I am reading this so I can have a conversation with Beverly and fall in line with everyone else who absolutely loves this. I actually influenced my best friend to read it, and she read it and absolutely loved it. So that means that I have no excuse, being that I'm influencing everyone else to read this, that I need to make sure that I get on, like I said, get in line. The other one I have is Aphrodite and the Duke by J.J. McAvoy. This is giving me Bridgerton vibes with the cover and with the feels. So I'm hoping that I love it, that it gives me everything I'm looking for. It is a second chance romance where the female main character has fallen for a particular duke, and for whatever reason, they were broken apart and now they are back in each other's orbit. And I am so interested to read that one and see if I love J.J. McAvoy's historical fiction. The next option I have is for fantasy, and because I am in the mood for something that is kind of like Amari and the Night Brothers-esque, what I've heard is the next best thing would be reading Danielle Clayton's The Marvelers. I am a big supporter of anything that is middle grade, that supports the magical setting, especially in a school environment. And so The Marvelers is what I hear is the next best thing for me to read. And I have heard really great things about Danielle Clayton's writing, so I'm hoping to love The Marvelers. I know the sequel is coming out either next month or fairly soon. If I love this one, I'm just going to keep trekking through the series. Now, my second fantasy is going to be Forged by Blood. Now, this is a Nigerian mythology story about a young girl who is looking for revenge because her mother was killed, as well as there's some things going on in her village that she decides, okay, it is up to me and my power to be able to cleanse us of whatever is going on in my particular village. And I really love a good revenge story that centers around magic. I'm hoping that this one is kind of giving me the Blood Cyan vibes. So if I read this one, I will let you know and tell you how my thoughts about it, because this one was sent to me by the publisher and it is such a gorgeous, stunning cover that I've got to read it for Noir November. Lastly, I also want to get to 2 stories that I'll be listening to for audio narration, because I do also want to make sure that we are supporting Black narrators. And so my idea is to read Off the Record by Cameron Garrett. This is a young adult book that centers a young female reporter or aspiring reporter who is writing the story of a celebrity who has experienced something that's centered around the Me Too movement. I know that this one, being that it's a young adult story, I'm hoping that it's not as visually descriptive, but I do love the idea of making sure that we're addressing what goes on in the world and what young women need to be mindful of in relation to things to watch out for predators and for sexual assault. So I'm definitely planning on picking this one up, again, because it has the reporter vibes. I am hoping that it gives some mixed media elements and that the audio narration really shines through in terms of the interview. And then lastly, because I know that this this book to film adaptation or book to TV show adaptation is coming out on November 1st. I plan on reading Black Cake by Charmaine Wilkerson. I typically like to read the source material before watching the TV show, and I've heard nothing but great things about the book, and I'm hoping the TV show also doesn't let me down. So this is definitely one that I want to get to sooner rather than later, so that I can be up on the times with Hulu and support this adaptation that comes out, because I think it's important to make sure that we continue to see ourselves on screens as well as in our pages. So with that being said, I'm going to ask you all to leave me a cake emoji for Black Cake in the comments below and tell me which one of these you have read or what you would be picking up for Noir November, and I'll talk to you all next time. Bye.